Welcome to my channel Alane Signal. The morning bell rang with its usual dull chime, echoing through the long, polished corridors of Sector 9 Academy. Students shuffled into their seats, carrying data pads, half-finished conversations, and the quiet dread of another routine day. Outside the reinforced windows, the sky shimmered with a faint silver hue, a side effect of the orbital shield that protected Earth from the unknown dangers beyond. Inside Classroom 7C, everything seemed normal. "Settle down," said Instructor Mara Vance, her voice calm but firm. She stood at the front of the room, her dark coat draped neatly over her shoulders, eyes scanning the class with a measured intensity. To her students, she was simply Ms. Vance, a strict but fair teacher who specialized in interstellar history. Few of them noticed the way she stood slightly angled toward the door, or how her gaze lingered just a fraction longer on the reinforced glass panels. "Today," she continued, tapping the display behind her, "we're discussing first contact protocols during hostile encounters." A few students groaned. "Why do we even need this?" muttered Arif from the back. "The shield keeps everything out." Mara's lips tightened slightly. Complacency is the first mistake any civilization makes before it falls. The room went quiet. Before she could continue, a sharp, unnatural vibration rippled through the building. The lights flickered, the floor trembled, then came the sound, deep, metallic, and wrong. Not the hum of machinery. Not the distant roar of traffic. Something else. Something alive. The students looked at one another nervously. "Ah, was that part of the lesson?" someone whispered. Mara didn't answer. Her posture had changed completely. Every trace of the casual instructor was gone. Her eyes hardened, her shoulders squared, and for a brief second, something ancient and dangerous flickered beneath her calm exterior. Another tremor hit, stronger this time. Then the alarms screamed to life. "Warning! Perimeter breach! Unknown hostiles detected!" Panic erupted instantly. Students jumped to their feet, voices overlapping in fear. "What's happening? Is this a drill? Miss, what do we do?" Mara raised her hand sharply. Silence. And somehow, despite the chaos, they obeyed. She walked slowly to the door, pressing her palm against the control panel. The hallway feed flickered onto the wall display. And that's when they saw them. Towering figures, at least 8 feet tall, covered in segmented, black armor that seemed fused to their flesh. Their limbs moved with unnatural precision, and their eyes burned with a cold, violet glow. Each one carried weapons that pulsed with a faint, deadly light. "Alien warriors." One of them turned toward the camera. The feed cut out. A student screamed. Mara exhaled slowly. So it had finally happened. The shield had failed. Or worse, something had bypassed it. She turned back to the class. The fear in their eyes was raw, unfiltered. "Children. Just children." Her voice, when she spoke, was steady but softer now. "Listen to me very carefully." The pounding footsteps in the hallway were getting closer. "You are going to leave this room quietly and move toward the evacuation tunnels beneath the East Wing." "What about you?" a girl asked, trembling. Mara paused. For a brief moment, she looked like she might say something reassuring. Instead, she said the truth. "I will make sure they don't follow." The door shuddered under a heavy impact. Once, twice, cracks spread across its reinforced surface. A boy near the front started crying. Mara closed her eyes briefly. Then she whispered, "Class dismissed." The words hung in the air like a final bell. And everything changed. With a smooth, practiced motion, she reached behind her back and drew something no student had ever seen before. A blade. Not a simple weapon, but something impossibly refined. Its edge shimmered with a faint, blue-white glow, humming with contained energy. Symbols etched along its length flickered to life as it left its sheath. The air itself seemed to bend around it. The students stared in stunned silence. Their teacher was not just a teacher. "Go," she said, without turning. And this time, they didn't hesitate. They ran. The moment the last student slipped through the rear exit, the classroom door exploded inward. The alien warriors stepped inside. Up close, they were even more terrifying. Their armor shifted like living metal, their movements too fluid, too precise. One of them tilted its head, studying Mara as if analyzing her. Then it spoke. Its voice was layered, multiple tones overlapping in a distorted echo. Human, resistance, irrelevant. Mara rolled her shoulders, adjusting her grip on the blade. "You picked the wrong classroom." The alien moved first, blindingly fast. But Mara was faster. She stepped forward, the blade arcing through the air in a perfect, lethal curve. It sliced cleanly through the warrior's arm, severing it at the shoulder. The limb hit the floor with a heavy clang. The creature recoiled, but didn't scream. Instead, its eyes flared brighter. The others advanced. Mara moved like a storm unleashed. Every strike was precise, every motion efficient. This wasn't a desperate fight. This was mastery. She ducked beneath a swing, drove her blade upward through an armored torso, twisted, and kicked the body aside. Another lunged from behind. She spun, deflecting its weapon with a burst of energy that crackled through the air. The classroom became a battlefield. Desks shattered, walls scorched. The sound of steel meeting alien alloy rang out again and again. But there were too many. Even for her. One of the warriors adapted quickly, its movements shifting, learning her rhythm. It feinted left, then struck from the right, faster than before. The blow connected. Mara staggered, a shallow cut burning across her side. She hissed, but didn't fall. Instead, she smiled. "Good," she muttered. "You learn." She raised her blade again. Outside, distant explosions echoed through the academy. The invasion wasn't just here. It was everywhere. Mara knew the odds. She also knew her mission. Delay them. Protect the students. Buy time. That was always the job. She lunged forward again, faster than before, her blade blazing brighter with each strike. The air filled with a low, resonant hum as the weapon reached full output. One by one, the warriors fell. But not before landing blows of their own. Her breathing grew heavier, her movements, just slightly slower. Still, she fought, because that's what she was made for. Minutes passed, or maybe seconds. Time blurred in the chaos. Finally, only one remained. The largest of them. It stepped forward slowly, its armor shifting into a more aggressive configuration. "Human, designation, warrior class," it said. Mara wiped a trace of blood from her lip. Finally figured it out. The alien raised its weapon. "Extermination, required." Mara adjusted her stance. "Come try." They clashed with explosive force. The impact cracked the floor beneath them. The alien was stronger, faster, adapted, but Mara had something it didn't. Experience. And something else. Resolve. She let it press her back, just enough. Let it think it was winning. Then, in a single, decisive moment, she shifted. A feint, a pivot, a strike aimed not at its armor, but at the narrow seam beneath its neck. The blade pierced through, deep. The alien froze. Its glowing eyes flickered, then dimmed. It collapsed. Silence fell over the ruined classroom. Mara stood there, breathing hard, her blade still humming faintly. Then, she deactivated it. The glow faded. For a moment, she simply stood still. Listening. The alarms were still blaring. Distant fighting continued. But here, it was quiet. She turned toward the hallway. The students. They needed to be far from here by now. Safe. Or at least, safer. Mara sheathed her blade slowly. Her role wasn't over. Not yet. She stepped over the fallen warriors and walked out of the destroyed classroom. Back into the war. Hours later, as evacuation ships lifted from the city and defense forces rallied against the invasion, whispers began to spread. About a teacher. A woman who stood alone against alien warriors. A protector hidden in plain sight. The students of Classroom 7C would never forget what they saw that day. And neither would the invaders. Because humanity had just reminded them of something important. They were not defenseless. They were not weak. And sometimes, the most dangerous warrior in the room was the one you least expected. Thank you for listening. Subscribe for more cinematic science fiction stories.